great to have you join us once again on the Qatar 2022 discussion on the Kente Business Journal. My name is Joseph Amwakwata, and today we will be talking about the African teams. You know, with KBJ, it's all about Africa. We are going to be continuing our discussions on the African teams and their performances so far at the 2022 FIFA World Cup being hosted in Qatar. So introducing my guest, I have Mr. Kwame Kusi, who is the CEO of KT. Tender Heights is regular on our panel. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, my brother.
It's great to have you. Next to him is Nana Kwekudria, who is also the CEO of Ajaman Consults. Nana, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. And first time on our panel is Aisha Zakaria Ali, who is also a sports journalist with the Global Media Alliance. Aisha, welcome. So without wasting much time, let's dive in straight into today's discussion. The World Cup started with 5 African teams as part of the qualified 32 nations, and so far we have only one country who is the flag bearer for Africa and the Arab world in Morocco. Morocco has made it to the quarterfinals of the World Cup. Before we talk about how far Morocco has gone, let's look at the preparations before the World Cup. Nana Kwekudra, I want to start with you. Let's look at the African teams, the 5 African teams, and look at before even the final games of the qualifiers, how these teams were prepared to make it into the World Cup and how they planned to execute their formations.
Thank you for having me, Ekwa. It's a pleasure to have.
It's always nice to have you.
It's a pleasure to join you again. The audience, thank you, McKinsey Business Journal, and all the subscribers, thank you. We are grateful. Honestly, it's hard for me to do this in a whole conversation today. The discussion today is a bit tough. It's a bit tough because, you know, our expectations of our boys are always high. It's not because we are clueless about why we have high expectations. It's because we know that we have the comparative advantage and the talent and the blessing of just the ability to just achieve so much when it comes to what we do best, which is soccer. The preparation will determine whether you are grateful for your blessings or not. And it's obvious that these African teams continues to fail at the highest level of global competition when it comes to soccer because of their lack of preparation, because of their lack of respect for preparation and organization sense. You know, I've said this before. Nkrumah said our greatest challenge is organization. You know, maybe because they have accepted, maybe we as a people within this area of the world have accepted that to be a third world means everything you do is just mediocre.
Or substandard.
I think it's a mental conditioning that we have come to a conclusion with, that as a third world nation, you don't have to live up to the greatest level of expectation. You can just be mediocre, you can just be average, and it's okay, even though you have all the tools around you to be great. So I think when you talk about preparation with the African teams, I have yet to see a team that has, maybe Morocco, because they seem to be very compact. They seem to, I know they made some changes to invite even Ziyech to come back into the national teams. These are all necessary changes because we've seen that he's performing. He is very impactful on the Moroccan team. If they had not made those changes, maybe Morocco would not be this far.
Okay, Aisha, I want to come to you. You were in Morocco for the Women's Champions League this year, and most of the African countries are trying to look at the blueprint of Morocco when it comes to their preparations, not only for local African competitions, but international competitions. For the very first time, Morocco has qualified for the FIFA Women's World Cup as well, as long as the Men's World Cup, and they're doing marvelously well in the Men's World Cup. Do you think the other African teams, the 4 other African teams, are learning from Morocco what is supposed to be done?
No, I don't think so. I'm so sorry for my voice having a bad cold. No problem. I really don't think so. I was in Morocco in July for the Women's Cup of Nations, and if you look at the kind of investment that the Moroccans are doing, trust me, I've not seen anything like that. I went to their football complex a day before Sadio Mane went there, and he was marveled. I think a lot of people saw the video on social media. He was questioning himself whether he was still in Africa, because even at Liverpool, he didn't see those kind of facilities that he was seeing in Morocco. I don't think African countries, the rest of the African countries, not just those who are at the World Cup, whether they are learning or not, I think we have this boastful kind of attitude that, oh, what is Morocco? Who is Morocco? When we started football, where was Morocco? When we talk about football on the continent, Morocco is nowhere to. I mean, for Ghana,
but Morocco was the first African team to qualify for the World Cup.
But you see, when you ask a Ghanaian, a normal Ghanaian, mention your top 3 African teams or countries. They will mention Ghana, they will mention Cameroon, they will mention Nigeria or Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire. Morocco, the Arab world, they don't even come close. But it will be good for these FA presidents to learn from Morocco. There's no shame in going to see Fauzi and asking, oh, Mr. President, I would like to have a look at your blueprint. I want to also pick some ideas from it. They are not. I don't know why. But I think it is very important for us to see that. Because they have won the Women's Champions League. For the first time, their women's national team, they are going to the World Cup. Never happened before. They won silver. They just ended Women's Cup of Nations. They have qualified, the 4th country to qualify for the quarterfinals. It's not mere fluke.
It's no magic.
No.
Now let me come to you. We can talk about Morocco all we want, but what are we doing? Those of us in the sub-Saharan Africa, sometimes we even spend more than European countries for preparations for some of these tournaments. But when it comes to the grassroots, what are we doing? Because clearly it is from the grassroots that if foundations are being well laid, we can also be able to reap the fruits of our labor.
Yeah, once again, my brother, thank you so much. Let me take this opportunity to say, welcome my beautiful lady, Aisha. First time meeting her. She's so beautiful, and we thank you so much. And to our cherished viewers, and thank you, yourself and my Nana. Thank you so much. You know what? When it comes to the preparation, I would say that apart from Morocco, as my beautiful lady, my Nana said, the Nana said, you can see that the Moroccans are ready. They prepare very well. But when it comes to the other 4 countries, I would say that they didn't prepare very well. They didn't prepare very well, seriously. Because if you look at the Senegalese team, before the World Cup starts, I can bet by the last kobo with them. But now, if you give me $1 billion, I will not bet. Because they disappointed me highly. I didn't expect them to, perform like the way they did. But if you look at the Moroccan team, everybody's talking about Morocco. Why? They didn't go there on a silver platter. They start from somewhere, and now look at where they are. Like you were saying that, everybody will say they are not good, they are not. Listen, I always say that Obama sees you once and right? If you want to know that you are going to war, like always Nana said, if you want to know that I'm going to a war, you prepare yourself. We didn't prepare ourselves very well. Look at our team. I know we'll come there. So when it comes to preparation 2 plus 2 is not a 5, it's a 4. Yeah. So we have to prepare very well. Look at Moroccan team. If you take the men team out and bring the women's team, they are not qualified for the World Cup. Yeah. They didn't go there. They didn't qualify on a silver platter because you got to play a qualifying series. And in Africa, we all know that playing the qualifying series is not a joke. And they recently won silver. So it tells you that they are coming from somewhere. They didn't start yesterday, maybe 4 or 5 years back. We have to go back and start going to the drawing board. They said, listen, we need Nana. We need Echo. We need our dear beautiful lady. We need this man. Let's all sit down on the one table. What are we going to do? Share ideas. Put the ideas on the ground. Let's do it. We can do it. Besides, we'll go every day, every year, we'll come back and say that.
With the ideas, everybody has ideas. But I'm talking about how we are planning to use our resources because we spend so much in these tournaments.
That is what I'm telling you, my brother. Look at the money we spend before we go to the World Cup. Our players got $100,000 each. If you take 23 players, 26 players, it's about 2.6 million.
And the Ghana Football Association also earned 10.5 million for qualifying for the World Cup.
You see, there you go. And with all kind of this money, huge money, we didn't do anything. I watched Kylian Mbappe. The France, when they qualified, the France give him some money. He said, no, I'm not going to take it because I was 10 and you build me. Now, if it wasn't France, I would never be like this.
Exactly.
But our players didn't do that. They don't do that. So if you plan very well, listen, everybody has his own ups and downs, right? But we have to have people who have clear conscience for this nation to give them the football, our football, what do you call it, planning, or people, so that they can take Ghana to a different level. Other than that, my brother will go every year, we'll come and sit here on the same table like we used to do about 12 years ago. Yeah. 12 years ago, 2010, South Africa hosted the World Cup, like the first time in Africa. Ghana went there, we did very good, we did well. We said, oh, penalty and so on and so forth. At the end of the day, we all shift.
Actually even been the time where we needed to take it seriously because we call Ghana a football nation. We waste so much, I'm using the word waste because that's what it seems to be. So we spend so much money on football and other sports are suffering. Just look at the Commonwealth Games we went to. So much potential, yet we couldn't realize it because we haven't invested in those places just because we are focusing so much on football. And even the football, we are not getting results.
Like Nana said all the time, when we are working, Nana said all the time, Uncle, you don't plant corn and eat what? Help me, Nana.
And eat yams.
And eat yams, right? You don't expect the country who are prepared very well. Look at Germany 2014. They win the World Cup. Everybody can say easily. But it wasn't take them, they didn't win the World Cup easily. Yeah. As soon as they saw that Brazil is going to host the World Cup, they go and build village in Brazil, right? Yeah. 8 or 7 years later, they come and win the World Cup. Now look at Ghana team. Look at Morocco. You just call some players 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. So, they are first time. They have to listen. In 1978, Ghana won the AFCON. The then FA president or then coach took Ghanaian team to Brazil for 1 year. They returned to Ghana and come and win the cup. So listen, a room was not built in a day. Yeah. So if you want to do something big, achieve something great, achieve our goals, we have to prepare very well. Yeah. Football, you agree with me that it's a team. It wasn't played by just a single person. Yeah. It's a team. So you brought your leg, I brought my leg, somebody brought his mind, right? Then collectively we go, we perform, and we go. Okay. So we don't prepare well and do well, my brother will go and come the same way every day.
That should be it for our preparations, but let's measure our successes and failures as a continent at the World Cup. Actually, I want to come to you. For the first time, all the African teams are qualified, won a game at the World Cup. Would you call that a success?
No, of course not. Of course not. Even if you look at a team, just zone into Ghana, you cannot call what we did in Qatar as a success, because if you are measuring what we have done before, I mean, look at our performance in 2006. First time that we have qualified, what did we do? Yeah. We went to South Africa 2010. Fantastic. We were the stars of Africa, not just Ghana. Unfortunately, 2014 in Brazil was not so good. 2018 we couldn't qualify. Then we went back to Qatar. I would say it is is great if you look at the materials that we have. Again, the players that we took, probably minus 1 or 2 players that most of us think that they should make the squad. But I think we have, on the African face, we have one of the, not the best squad, but a fairly good squad that can actually compete. Yes. Because talent-wise, you cannot tell me, these are players that are playing week in, week out in their various clubs. I mean, only few players start from the bench, but if you look at the surface of the team, these are starters. And they're not just starters, they contribute to the success of their teams in European competitions. So on that basis, you can't say that, okay, the fact that we have won a game, we have done so well. For a country like Senegal, money in...
I think Senegal pretty much had a higher bar for themselves.
Of course, you are the African champions. Yeah. You are going into the tournament. You have you have the best player on the continent. You have the best goalkeeper on the continent. So of course, people are expecting so much from you. But Sadio Mane got injured. But even with that, the technical setup and the playing body, a lot of us were expecting Senegal to do so well. For Cameroon, I was not actually expecting that big of a performance. Then they started to shoot themselves in the foot. The incident with Onana, and then he has to be sacked from the camp and stuff like that. So on that basis, of course, for Tunisia, I didn't actually give them any chance.
But I think Tunisia could have they could have done better, because beginning your tournament with a draw against Denmark, that was a huge statement. But I don't know what happened in the second game, and then it all went down the drain.
Yeah, but for Morocco, if you look at the Moroccan team, 14 of the players are actually players that are outside, that they have called in. So the rest are local-based players that they play for WAD and the rest. So exactly, and you remember what they did to Hasselhoff. So yes.
Tell my dear, listen, let's focus attention on the national team.
On that surface alone, and the kind of preparation that they had, the Moroccan team, they don't go to outside to camp, or they don't go and sleep at one hotel or this hotel. When they are camping, they camp, in their country. Mohammed, the Seat Football Complex, that's where they camp. So they had fairly good preparation. So honest, I don't think African countries, apart from Morocco, I don't really think we didn't do as best
we didn't realize our potential. Exactly, but we can also look at the.
Dr. Kaiser, my dear, do you remember 1990 what JSK did to Kotoko? Nana, do you remember that?
Because I mentioned Hassan. Oh, really?
That's a funny part of it,
No, she reminded us of Wedad whipping us in Casablanca.
I just asked you. I'm just asking you. Do you remember that?
We don't even want to go there because you are the only royal Ashanti man who supports House of Folk.
No, but the coach of Morocco actually
is the one who was in charge with Dad when they beat Hearts of Folk. Then they won the Champions League. They did win the Champions League.
And he took over the Moroccan
in August.
And look at kind of performance.
So talking about Morocco's coach, I also talk about all the African teams' coach. Also, for the first time, we had 5 native coaches leading their home nations to the World Cup. And we did make a post on our social media stating that this achievement is one thing that is going to make Africans realize that we don't need Europeans or South Americans to come and coach us. We could say that some of these coaches need a little bit more experience. But I think looking at the generation of coaches that are coming up now, I think in the near future, Africa will not necessarily be relying on Europeans for them to lead us to major tournaments like the World Cup or the AFCON. What do you think about the 5 coaches in the World Cup? Nana, I want to come to you with this one.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Eko. I mean, oh, Lord have mercy. And 5 coaches. It's always inspiring to see your own people leading, your own people being led by one of their own. It's always inspiring because they say charity begins at home. So if charity begins at home and you're able to find the kind of quality you're looking for to lead your people, I don't see why not. The issue from my perspective is you got to find the right people from your own. If charity begins at home, let's offer that charity to the person that truly deserves it at home so that we can have the right expectations and the right results. 2 + 2 is not 5. You can try to make it 5. You can try to see if you can add a few dots here. But according to nature, who is responsible for this earth is 4. Okay? So you don't plant corns and eat yams like I always say. We don't expect to go get your own just because it's your own if that person has a failing record. You understand? So, I mean, I think overall it was inspiring to see Africans obviously being led by Africans, because when you talk about money, these coaches are highly paid. And when we give that money to foreigners all the time, that money is gone. They go and spend that money. It's a foreign exchange credit for their countries. That money don't stay in. So Otto Addo, as for example, a Ghanaian coach, yeah, great, he's local, he has a history with the Black Stars or whatnot, but was he the right local person to lead our national team? No, because the result speaks for itself. Cameroon, was Song the right person? He's a legend. Doesn't make him the right person. Okay, who else? Senegal. Okay, I was very disappointed in Senegal. I get it. Mane is not a Superman. Okay, you mean to tell me without Mane, that's it, everything just stops? You guys been playing together for over 5 years. For over 5 years, you are African champions. How do you go into a World Cup and don't even make it to a quarterfinals? So, you know, there's nothing wrong with our own leading us, but we got to have the right people of our own leading us. People with track record of winning. When we go into a soccer competition like the World Cup, it's war. It's literally war in a gaming format. Okay? It's not no games over there. It's a lot of investment. When you go into a real war, it's investment. You invest in weapons, in this, in that. You can't take a bullshit general to go to a war that you done put a lot of money behind. You're going to lose. You know, so this is war in a gaming format, and we need to understand that mindset. You don't go do Ronaldo when you are down by 1 goal. You know, that's inferior. And then also, one last thing, you don't go do Jama when you have a game the following night. You have to sleep and dream about the game. Manifest that game in your head so that it's not about improvising.
But now you know the Jaman a Cameroon. That's how we, you know.
No, you shoot Jama after you win. Okay? Before the night. No,
I haven't heard this theory.
I'm telling you, listen, I'm telling you winning strategies, okay? Yeah. War is war. Yes. The night before a war, you don't go and shit. No, you stay concentrated. You dream about how to win. Yeah. You analyze all the ways that your enemy can come at you. And that manifests on the field.
Okay. Mr. Kusi, I want to come to you. In spite of everything that has been said already, what do you think the decision to have local coaches lead the national teams will do for the future for African teams?
Let me say thank you once again. And like my beautiful lady and then my nana said, they are right. But what we need or what we have to do is we have to go for a competent one. Yeah. We all know that you agree with me that Otu, I never seen his coaching licenses. Have you guys seen? I don't think that he's a coach. He's a scout, like a countryman song always said. So we have to go for the best, because the saying that if somebody is going to hunt for you, it's better you hunt for yourself. Because if I feed you, the only thing that I want is to give it to you. But if you feed yourself, you buy the choice. You buy your choice, right? We have to go. We have a lot of talents here, like my sister said. We have a lot of talents. Not even the footballers, but coaches. It's not a matter of the football people have, the players have to manage the football. No. We have the football administrators. They are very good. They haven't played football before, but they know what is good for us. We have to hunt for those people from the head to the toe. You know, from the FA to the playing body. Even if you're a drummer, to play drums for our national teams, you got to be a qualified drummer. It doesn't supposed to be like somebody who doesn't know anything about football. Then because of somebody's selfish interest, then you pick the person to come and earn something. No, we have 40 million people or 35 million people, and if we say Echo is one of the greatest man in the world or in Ghana, and we're giving you a job, you have to perform for Ghanaians, not you alone. You know what I'm saying? So it's about time that we go for Ghanaians who knows the football, who acquired alliances. They are, you know, you pick somebody like Mercedes Ayi. He's a Ghanaian, but just that he played for France doesn't mean that he's not a Ghanaian. He knows much about football.
He lives in Ghana.
Right. He had a sports complex in Ghana, right? See, and this guy has I think, for me, he had a pedigree more than even Frank Lampard, because he has played in the World Cup, won the World Cup, won the European Cup. You know, he has about 4 Champions League on his credit. Okay. So if we talk to those guys, some of them, it's not about money. Like Nana said, they want to have a name. Okay. Like our sister and Nana said, when you pick the Senegalese team, I said it. I said, listen, in spite of Sadio Mane out, we have hungry lions out there. They want to go and fish for themselves. They want to prove the world that, listen, we are Africans. Yeah. We have to go and do something, prove the world wrong. Listen, it's very sad. It saddens me very much because if even 3 African countries were able to perform very well in this current World Cup, maybe the next edition we could have had maybe 10 or 12 slots. Look at the Europeans. What did the Polish and then so-called Europeans come to do in this World Cup? Nothing.
Okay, so we'll come back to the discussion. I want us to take a short break, and when we come back, we are going to delve into Ghana's performance at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Stay and stay with us. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, Kente Business Journal TV, and press the notification bell to stay updated always. Welcome back from the break. It's still the 2022 FIFA World Cup discussion on the Kente Business Journal. Before we went to break, we were talking about the performance of the coaches of the African teams, and now we are going to be delving into Ghana's performance so far. Aisha, I want to come to you. If you look at Ghana's performance at this year's World Cup, the team played 3 games in the group stage because we exited, and then we won 1 game against Korea. We scored 5 goals and conceded 7. How are you going to rate this performance on a scale of 1 to 100?
40%, because I think for the Portugal game, I believe we shouldn't lose. We should have lost that game. Even the last game, the best results I was looking for, even if things were to go bad, was a draw. On that score, we couldn't. Clearly, great potential if you look at the playing body, great players, great talent, but we were not able to use it to our advantage. But I think looking at the surface wise, 40 will be fair. I know someone will say, why are you giving them 40 out of 100 when they have not done anything? So if they were able to win 2 games, like what percentage will you give them? Or even if they were able to qualify from the group stage, what percentage will you give them? But I'm looking at individual wise, what they have done. Look at Mohamed Kudus. Even though Ghana won just a game, he's part of the best 11 from the group stage. So on that score, of course, yes. If you look at the fastest players currently, Kamaldeen is part. So on that score, of course, yes. And yeah, I think 40 will be good. But I mean, I agree with anybody that says we could have done better. The performance was not what Ghanaians were expecting. Probably because of the fact that even when we were going to, you have a sports minister telling Ghanaians that, oh, we are going to bring the trophy. When I bring it, I'll touch it, you will touch it, I'll kiss it, you will kiss it. I mean, people were promising the president of the land that we can make it to the semi-final. So on that score, and you look at the talent that we have, of course, expectations were high and we didn't meet them, but I think 40 is fair for me to give.
Do you think we are always honest with ourselves as Ghanaians?
No. I think we are always, I don't know, but I think we always have this notion, this mindset that we are Ghana, we are a football nation, so it's easy for us. It's not. It's not. So you use 2010 that, okay, you were able to make it to the quarterfinals.
But 2010 is 12 years ago. It's like a whole football generation.
So I always ask, why is it that I don't use 2014? Because 2010 was not the last World Cup that you played. So 2014, you should also use that as a benchmark. Why are you not using that? Because something happened there. But did you learn from that thing that happened? No. When you always make reference to 2010, you forget what happened in 2014.
And even 2018.
Exactly, you couldn't go. So you should use that as a way for you to prepare mentally, physically, or everything like involved. But I don't think, I think we always have high expectations. Let's always take it bit by bit. Not to make a case for Otuado, but he's a man that came in, what? He was as an assistant, went to AFCON, team didn't go well. So the plan was that, okay, you don't want to go in for a coach that does not understand the philosophy, it's not getting to know the players.
But
so let's,
did that help us, taking a coach who knew there was nothing at stake for him to lead us to the World Cup, in terms of he having a contract that says he's going to leave the team after the World Cup?
You see, it's that is not a problem of Otuado. That's the problem of the people that actually employed him. Because if your boss wants to employ you, your boss is coming for you because he knows you are the best. Huh? You give the conditions to your boss. Okay, boss, I cannot come to work from Monday to Friday. I can come to work only on Wednesdays. Are you cool with that? Because you are being honest with your boss. If your boss says yes, because your potential are great, I don't think I can find anybody like you to work for me, so come and work for me. It is the problem of your boss. It's not your problem. You know, Otuado told us, I have a contract with Dortmund. I want to respect that contract. But Ghana is my country. You need my service. Of course, why not? I will help you to qualify. I'll take you to the World Cup. By December, the World Cup will end. No matter the outcome of that, I am leaving to honor my contract with Dortmund. But we can have a new conversation. That was the agreement. GFA and government went for Otuado, knowing fully well his commitment with Dortmund.
So we have to blame the GFA.
Exactly. But that's what I'm saying. If your boss go in for you and your boss know that you are not fully committed to the job because you have other commitments, not because, okay, you are not doing anything and that it's just that you don't want to come and sit in Ghana and watch.
Does it mean, you know, qualifying for the World Cup is enough for, I mean, it's enough success for us? It looks like that is what the case is.
No, but yeah, of course, yes, because 2018 we couldn't qualify. So on that basis, of course, it was not a bad right that you qualify. The fact that you are Ghana or you have great play, it doesn't mean that you can qualify because you are Ghana. No, of course not. Things got hard. You remember, things got really difficult. Yes, and then we have to play Nigeria. We took them out. I think we should appreciate the fact that Otuado took us there. Whether Otuado actually did well after the qualification or even during the qualification, the 2 games, because people are saying even the 2 games he didn't win, the 2 games that we use it to qualify. And I mean, you go to World Cup, what performance did he put up? People are questioning his status and his formation. That is a conversation that we should have, because I have some also reservation with how some of the players started and stuff like that. But it is not my place to tell him that, coach, do this or do that, because he knows if I don't perform, you are out already. Again, let's go back to the conversation that the GFA had. I just hope that in the report that the management committee and the GFA will send to government, they will not blame Otuado. I hope they don't. Because the thing is that it was...
They have to find a scapegoat. So.
No, but you cannot blame him because it was there. How do you blame him that he doesn't have time for the team and that he was just living in Ghana? Of course, you have 2 assistant coaches because you know that the man was not coming to stay here. He has a job.
But my sister, I heard him saying that he take the ultimate responsibility. So
of course, he's the head coach.
So in that score,
he could be blamed.
He could be blamed.
Of course, you blame. Yeah. Of course, you blame that because you are the coach and then we got knocked. Of course, you are the coach. We didn't draw against you. You were going to qualify. You are the coach. You didn't let us qualify. People will blame him that, okay, why did you? The common conversation is, why did you start Baba Rahman when against South Korea you started Gideon Mensah, who was good? Why did you have to bench Gideon Mensah? Of course, people are blaming him on that score. Some of the changes that he made, people are blaming him on that score. So probably some of the decisions that he took as a coach got us to be knocked out. So he will take a responsibility on that basis. But what I'm saying is that the conversation about he being a part-time coach, I think it should be the GFA to come and tell us why.
Explain that.
I'm sorry for coming in, but let me say this. I had before the World Cup, I had an interview from George Boateng, the assistant coach.
Yeah.
Right, he said that when we went to Nigeria, in our last 20 minutes of the game, Otu came and tell him that, listen, I want to take this and these players out, and I want to bring these guys in. And George said, no, sir, no, we don't have to do that because it's a risk. We are in a Nigerian soil. Nigerians are playing faster than us. So if you did that, and Otu told him that, listen, I'm the head of this team. If anything comes, it has to come on me. Yeah. So let me do it. And he did it. And whether it's a good or bad, behold, it works for us. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying that based on what you just said, that those who employ him and him himself, he could have said, boss, I will never come to work Fridays. He couldn't do that. He couldn't do that. And if you're not able to do that, to tell your boss that, Nana, I just want this. Nana said, listen, I'm going to give you this based on A, B, C, D. Are you agree? You said yes. Based on that, if anything comes, we have to blame you.
Here's my and I'm only coming in because I feel like we are looking at it maybe from a wrong lens. My question is, what structures in place continue to yield failure results from the Ghana Football Association?
I don't think there's a structure.
What structures are in place that happens to be responsible for consistent failure? Because there seems to be something there that all he knows how to do is to yield failing results.
No, there's no failure, because if you look at the Germans, look at what happened to Oliver Bierhoff. He sacked himself. He resigned. There's a when you compare ours into them, you can see that there's a structures, there's a format. You know what I'm saying?
Is it the Ghana Football Association constitution? Is it the constitution? Is it the Bible of the Ghana Football Association or the Quran of the Ghana Football Association, the constitution that mandates them on how they can move around? Does that need to be amended? What is going on?
Before we come to that, I want us to, from what Aisha has been saying, to establish the fact that was qualifying the World Cup the only priority for the GFA, because it seems that is what we wanted to do. Imagine we didn't even qualify. Do you think Otto would still have remained at post? I doubt if he would. So it looks like that was the only priority of the GFA, and whatever would happen in Qatar,
it just happens.
Yes. So it looks like we were not prepared for this World Cup. Right. Even right from the qualifiers, we were not ready to represent Ghana and even the continent at large.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, if we are to take your philosophy or your analysis of how we ended up with this result, if it is truly a possibility that the GFA just wanted to just go to the World Cup just to be a face, just to qualify and just be a face, and that's why the elements in place, such as the so-called part-time coach, the so-called a temporary advisor, which is, I don't know, Chris Hurton or whatever his name is, and all this. The fact that these elements were implanted within the structures of the GFA might possibly coincide with your philosophy that they really had an intention to just show up and take as much money as possible, you know what I'm saying, to just show up and just whip the benefits of, and whip the monetary benefits. Because if it's truly that they really wanted to go there and make a difference, I think we would have seen that also within the structures of implementation, because when we look at the elements they put together to so-called be an organization to go and compete at the highest level, every aspect of it is just completely wrong. And that's what I'm saying. If this is the mentality that is able to organize in this fashion, then is this the mentality that has been a blueprint in the last maybe 10, 15, 20 years? Maybe this mentality is the blueprint behind the GFA structure. Is, hey, let's focus on the money. Whatever we can organize to make sure we get a budget, let's do it. Let's master how to fool everybody with some kind of an organization in place. And then when we take the money, we win by making sure the money is in our pockets, or making sure that we have access to a good amount of money to do what we want to do. Because it seems that they always get paid, whether they are failures or they do a little bit better. They always get paid. Everybody gets paid. The players gets paid, the coaches gets paid, the administrators get paid. Everybody gets paid except the people of Ghana.
The fans always have to bear the pain and the memories of failures.
If there is no accountability from the highest level, listen, football in Ghana is not football in any other African country. We are the first nation to have a representation in the English Premier League from the black country. The first black person to play in the English Premier League was Arthur Wharton. 1897. Accra House of Folk is 100 years old. Kumasi Asante Kotoko is 90 years old. We didn't start playing yesterday. Okay, we have a genetic relationship with soccer. So because we have an abundance of this talent, the people who are supposed to monetize it in a way where the country can benefit, they have realized that there's a scheme, there is an opportunity to manifest, to mechanize a scheme, to put resources in our pocket. And that, we have a track record of it. We have a track record of money being, I can estimate that over $200 million have been spent on the Ghana Football Association in the last 20 years. Go do the math and check. If not more. 20 years, that's 2 decades. You know what that kind of money could have been used for? But we gave it to you guys with no intrinsic return. No intrinsic visible return. Not from infrastructure, not from so-called a structure in place that has proven to yield so-called positive results. We don't have, what do we have to show for?
Aisha, I want to come to you. You know, after the Anas expose in 2017, a lot of people were saying we had the opportunity for a fresh start. And then we had an election after the normalization committee in 2018, and it looked as if it was a new beginning. And right now, at the end, almost at the end of the administration's first term or a term in office, things are going back to the old ways. Do you think the GFA needs to reassess itself and reprioritize whatever goal that they have ahead of them as a country?
I think so, because, you mentioned, after the last expose and normalization, we had a fairly new status that we need to work with, new ideas, changes that need to be implemented. But I think the leadership of the Ghana Football Association needs to understand that currently where they are, they need to work so hard to earn the confidence, the trust of Ghanaians.
It's true.
In doing that, you need to be transparent. In doing that, you need to be accountable for the people. This mindset that, listen, the money that we use for the preparation comes from FIFA. The money that we are using to pay the players comes from FIFA. So it is our money, and that, it's not your money, so we are not accountable to you. We need to change that mindset, because when you are going for competitions or you are going for tournaments, you call on Ghanaians to help you. When we were going, we did national prayers.
Fasting.
You call on Ghanaians. When you have a big match, you call on Ghanaians.
Yeah.
For nothing at all, let's remember when we played against Nigeria. Baba Yara Stadium was full to capacity.
It was an
I had
amazing
to
atmosphere.
remove my top because the atmosphere was so intense.
It was energetic. I've never felt anything.
I nearly suffocated to death because I couldn't breathe. There was no fresh air. The place was full to capacity.
Yeah.
These are Ghanaians. Ghanaians love football, especially the Black Stars. So, you are at a place where there's an expose that people saw how games are being manipulated. I don't know, people have different views as to whether so that is not a conversation that we're having, but it is what people have seen. And people have formed their opinions based on that.
I think it was clearly a representation of the reality, even if it wasn't true.
Exactly. So the GFA, I hope they will not just end it with the apology letter that they release. They need to consciously, gradually start getting the confidence back. Because again, you promised Ghanaians semi-finals. Minister promised Ghanaians a trophy. You are back from the group stages. You need to have an honest conversation with Ghanaians. They need to feel that you understand their pain. But this posture of don't come to me, you're always negative when you have an opinion, is because you prefer this person.
Yeah, journalists shouldn't criticize.
It's bad. It is very bad.
Yeah, if you criticize,
you don't want to be
you don't
seen.
like it.
Yeah.
What is the work of the journalist?
Yeah.
If you do good, they will say, sorry,
You
my
don't need
sister.
to be, you don't need to be seen like someone who is always fighting people who have different opinions. You don't want that, because listen, I always tell people this. Most people that have issues with the GFA, they didn't have issues with the GFA because they don't like cats, or or they don't like the things that Ket is doing. But because the people around Ket, the people around the GFA, you have an opinion, you share an opinion, then someone will sit somewhere and think that, oh, you have an agenda because someone gives you this, someone gives you that. But the moment you start applauding them for the good, they don't see that. And that is a problem. You need to allow people to. I told people, if you are part of the Ghana Football Association, currently what you need to do is that sit back, take in the feedback, the negative and the positive. Take all in. Now, whether you use it, it is left to you. But don't be seen to be attacking people when they have opinions. But the GFA, again, they have a top job to do ending the conference back.
So, let's bring the conversation on the GFA down a little bit, and let's talk about the players themselves. Let's talk about dedication. Let's talk about, how these players see the Black Stars. Because in 2006, I was young, but I remember that these players were passionate. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about getting exposure or anything. It was about representing the country. We are seeing that in some of the other national teams, but it seems the players that we have this time around are sort of competing for something else or of a personal interest rather than the nation's progression or anything. Can you throw a little bit more light on that before I go to Nana? Yeah.
I don't know, but when people say players need to be patriotic, I think we had a offline conversation about what patriotism means. Yeah. And I mean, people had problem with some of the players not being able to sing the Ghana anthem. Some people think they are not patriotic on that front. And people think players shouldn't take appearance fees or winning bonuses or qualification bonuses on that front. If you are taking it, you are not being patriotic. But I think the fact that the players actually agreed to play for us, it shows a form of commitment. And it's quite difficult. But I also think that, of course, there are players that you want them to perform to a certain ability because you know their capabilities. You are not getting that kind of performance from them. So, for you, they are not being patriotic. Classic example, Thomas Partey. People have issues with Thomas Partey because when you watch Thomas Partey, you are seeing him with Atletico Madrid or Arsenal Thomas Partey. The Thomas Partey that you watch every weekend when he's playing for Arsenal, you don't get that Thomas Partey when he's playing for the Black Stars. And I've said this numerous times, that a player like Thomas Partey cannot afford to have a bad day. When players on the field are saying, oh, the game was too big for me, I couldn't perform. Thomas Partey cannot tell me this because he is Thomas Partey. If Ishaku tells me this, no problem. Because that's Ishaku, he's now developing, he's now growing. But you are Thomas Partey. So on that front, when you are watching him with the Arsenal lens and you don't get that, then you say Thomas Partey is not being patriotic. Yeah. He will make an argument because I listened to an interview that he did that, okay, different environment, different setup, the materials that he's surrounded with, or the kind of performance that people want from him, you will not get that because he played different rules.
But he was the one to score the goal that sent us to the World Cup. So what's the question about setup in different environments? Yeah, so it clearly comes down to commitment.
But I think there are players that, of course, sometimes you watch them and then you question whether they understand what it means. Or
in the Black Star jersey.
Yes, you understand what it means to have everyone's basically they have what Ghana is playing, people stop whatever they are doing, you cancel meetings, you postpone meetings, you stop, basically people stop functioning to watch you. So sometimes you question whether the players understands what it means for them. I'm not speaking for the players, but I think some of them they do understand, most of them they do understand, but it's just that I don't know.
Okay, Nana, let's go back to the GFA. Let me hear your views on what you think the GFA needs to do in terms of its priorities.
The GFA needs a new constitution which is transparent and accountable. I don't think the constitution of the GFA allows accountability to be easily held, and also transparency to be easily established. And this is a public organization. I have not read their constitution, but for me, when you have been failing for 20 years and we cannot use your so-called governing body, the content of your governing body, we can't use your policy framework to hold you accountable, because you have found ways to navigate around it. What they do is they find ways to literally create clauses around the Constitution through contracts and all kinds of ways. They put these clauses in contracts which keeps people to be quiet. I don't have evidence of this, but I'm just looking at the situation, what will make somebody...
Speaking from what we are seeing on the surface. So.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at the surface and I'm like, why is this person not being transparent about what is happening inside the GFA? And we are seeing failure literally staring at us in the face, right? It's because maybe he signed a contract and the clause in it does not allow him to speak. Because if he speaks, he can't get paid. So these are all little things that we got to be able to have the governing framework system, whether it's a constitution or whatever accountability framework, to be able to be utilized on behalf of the people of Ghana. Because when you ask me what needs to change, the whole place needs to go. If I say the whole place needs to go, what I mean by that is if no one is coming in to bring in a whole new structure that we believe is alternative to what has been yielding a failing results over the years, then we cannot expect a different result. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different results. So if we are not insane, then the next natural phase of development for the Ghana Football Association is restructuring the whole process. Okay. If they were not shameful people, they would have literally humbly just resigned, because it is not for your parents. It's not for your household. This is for the people of Ghana. So you will humbly resign because you would have accepted the fact that maybe some people have better ideas than me.
The excuse they'll give you is that they are accountable to Congress because it's not a general election, so it is not Ghanaians that elected them, few Ghanaians who are club owners elected them, so they are accountable to Congress. If Congress wants to remove them from power, then they should call, Congress members should call for Congress and then
what I'm saying is, here real quick, to add a little bit to what Aisha is saying, again, that affirms my notion of them being shameless people. You see, if you be a mensa, what the mensa for no, they will collapse the family's wealth. It's not because they are not family. They are blood. They are family. But they are sabotagers. That's why there's a saying that if you be a mensa, it's not saying they're not blood. They're blood. But they are sabotagers. If you put them accountable for the family's wealth, they will destroy it. So we have these type of people, sabotagers. How do we know they're sabotagers? Look at their track record. What results have the people of Ghana truly benefited from in terms of their leadership? Nothing. So if you have been given resources and you cannot optimize those resources, whether you're a manager or a president or whatever, you must accept your failure and humbly just let other ideas come on the table. But when you are not able to do that, it means not only are you shameless, but you have an interest in keeping that failing going for the sake of your own personal benefit.
Okay, so Nana is saying we should restructure the GFA. What are you also saying about the GFA?
Thank you once again. I would say that if there is a constitution, if there is, because I don't see there is a constitution. Yes, because my brother, you bear with me that we went to Brazil, right? We came back home and then there's a commission. What is the name? The GMFA Commission. They implement the white paper. Did the government use the white paper? Have you heard that they use it? No. So if there's a constitution, I think that we have to sit back and let maybe, Ghanaians should forgive me, our viewers forgive me, but we have to tell the world the truth. If we sit back and we allow maybe the Togolese and the Moroccans, let me pick the Moroccans, to come and manage our FA and everything for us, it will be better for us.
Oh.
Yes, my dear, because look at Germany. Oliver Bierhoff is their technical director, right? Yeah. As soon as the German failed to qualify, he resigned. Have you seen any sort of resignation concerning the Ghanaian? Otto Addo resigned based on his own mouth. He said, "Oh, if something happened after anything, I will resign." He did it. Mm-hmm. But if there's a constitution, they should go according to the constitution. What the constitution are saying. We don't. After the what do you call it? Anas expose. What happens? The same Ghanaians. But we are not the same. They have to call different set of people. So if there's a constitution, everybody, as Nana and Aisha said, everybody should step aside.
You want another normalization?
we want some people who have a clear conscience, who are willing to die for their nation, who want to do. Look at, that's why I earlier said about Mbappe. Look at what the Germans did. They brought these Oxel. They are 9, 8, 10. They brought them up. They let them qualify, win the World Cup. They didn't pay for any huge sums of money. Mbappe, they give him the qualifying. He said, no, I don't need it. Because if it wasn't France, where will I be? Yeah. Look at our players. We give them max exposure. And they turn back and eat our money.
It's a question of where our investments
That's what I'm saying, my brother. If there's a constitution, listen, we have invested. You said that FIFA has given us money. Yeah. Where is the FIFA money? Where is it?
So we got $12 million for preparation, and the group stages we got 10
over $25 million, right? So where is the money? We just went to Brazil, playing 3 matches, spent about almost $200 million. Is it right? Look at our roads. Look at our lives. The economy is in a shambolic stage. And you guys, my brother, everybody will agree with me that it takes only football to unite us as a one.
Sure. Yeah. That's true.
So if you mess up with the football, you mess up with anything. Okay. That's why I said, my earlier comment, I said, if we have 275 constituencies, one constituency can produce 5 Asamojans, another constituency can produce 5 Ali Dusedu, another constituency can produce 5 Thomas Party. But you know, another constituency might produce 10 Abilities. Yeah. You know, if you have all this in with unproductive mindset, what will happen to us? We'll go and come the same way. 12 years ago, we went to South Africa. We wanted to do well. Lord and behold, if it was Suarez or whatever, we came back home. We went back to Brazil. We all saw what happened. After that, what happened? We go back and do this. And sit down. We didn't qualify 2018. Then, by the grace of God, we are qualified this time around. Look at what happened. So, if there's a constitution, we have to apply it.
Okay. If there's a constitution, we have to apply it. And football is the only way to unite Ghanaians. My name is Joseph Amakwata, and this has been a discussion of the Qatar 2022 World Cup on the Kente Business Journal. Thank you very much for joining us. Catch us same time in the next episode. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please do not forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel Kente Business Journal TV and press the notification bell to stay updated always.